here in this forum. So you could, for those of our Francophone speaking Toastmasters, you could make use of the channel button below and kindly endeavor to pick your language preference. So if you want to listen to this meeting in French, you can do well to choose the French option. Definitely, it will be translated for you. And thank you for obliging. Right about now, I'd love to welcome you to today's meeting, today's after work session. Is always a delightful experience, having to be here as Toastmasters, having the learning experience. My name is Toastmaster Grace. It is my honor, my delight to be the one facilitating this session as your moderator for today's after work session. Today, we'll be talking about quite an interesting topic, which is how to tell a compelling story. Let me keep you in suspense. I will not let the cat out of the bag. Already, you know who will be talking about it, but definitely he's going to come and give us more information on that particular segment. But just before we proceed, I would love to also let you guys know that in this particular session, we'll be having the question and answer segment. We'll also be having a toast towards the end of today's meeting. So do well to keep and note your questions just so that you can ask our trainer at the end of his session of your questions, and then definitely, learn from his teachings as well. Just before I proceed, would like to take out this minute to honor one of our Toastmasters, someone I'll tag a true icon. He was a distinguished Toastmaster, but beyond being a distinguished Toastmaster, he embodied and exemplified one of our core values as Toastmaster, which is service. He served in numerous capacities then in our then District 94. He was widely recognized for his many years of support, particularly through his contribution as an interpreter. He was a gift, yes, in this community. Fellow Toastmasters on the call, we want to take out this moment to celebrate DTM Fifin Kulubali. We are not mourning him, but we are honoring him as a true icon that he was in this community. Timer, please take note. We'll take a minute of silence for him. And may his departed soul rest in peace. Thank you very much, fellow Toastmaster, for obliging. At this point, we will be segueing into the educational segment of today's meeting, which will be facilitated by none other than DTM Benjamin Wahyo. But before I bring him to the lectern, I don't know what happened. Everyone seems to have turned off their camera, but that's fine. I would also appreciate to see more faces. I don't want to bring our speaker and then he's just looking to a plethora of blank screen on the dashboard. I don't think that's pleasant enough. Yes, I am that host that will keep poking you till you make sure that your camera is turned on and it is on throughout the meeting. Thank you for obliging. At this point, I would love to bring to the lectern none other than Toastmaster DTM Benjamin Wyo, who will be our trainer for today's session. I'm actually anticipating this session because as a Toastmaster, I know I am a storyteller, and definitely everyone on this call is a storyteller. DTM Wyo he is a passionate and prolific speaker. He's a three-time West and Central African champion of public speaking. Now that's some feat. He is the first Nigerian finalist at the 2020 World Championship of Public Speaking. He is an award-winning inspirational speaker. He has a firm belief in the power of words and the ability for it to change worlds. With over 20 years of experience in speaking, teaching, and training with the Excel Family and Youth Development Center, Dr. Ben believes that leaders are made by effort and not by nature. He is also a veterinary surgeon, research scientist, and author and lead facilitator of the Aldrin and Randall School of Leadership and Personal Development. He loves family and children, speaking and connecting with people and spreading the message of the power of finding your voices is his forte. He is married to Julia, and together they have two amazing children. DTM Benjamin, I know definitely we are going to glean from your session. At this point, I yield the lectern to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Grace. I'd like to very, very quickly correct an impression before we go far. I am not a DTM. I'm not a distinguished Toastmaster. I will be one day, God willing. But for now, I am just Toastmaster Benjamin Wyo. So, it was a cool evening in October. My mother was preparing the evening meal. So she sent me to the market to get some supplies. Be quick, she said, or else. I chose to be quick because you don't want to experience the or else of an African mother. But as I approached the store, I saw something that took my breath away. It was a teenage girl, just about my age. I was 15. She bent ever so delicately to pick something from the floor with her pink flowery top and bright blue jeans. Then she looked in my direction and our eyes locked. My heart was pounding and I could hear the soundtrack in my head already. Hello, is it me you're looking for? I was in love. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share with you how to share compelling stories. This is about sharing stories that can capture the mind, capture the imagination, capture the attention, and hold you and pass something across to you beyond where you are to where you're going to. To be able to remember whatever story was shared beyond the time when that story was shared, up to the near future, and perhaps even leave a message with you that would last with you for a lifetime. It is very possible to share stories that are unforgettable every time you speak. It is very possible. And this is one of the things that we can develop as Toastmasters. Right now, we're in the contest cycle where we are sharing stories that have to do with tall tales, mostly tall tales, and of course, evaluations and table topics, if I'm not mistaken, but tall tales contests. And the tall tales contests have always been very exciting contests because they're funny, because they are outlandish, because they are creative, because almost anyone can do them if they can just pick up their imagination and use it to the best of their ability. So the Tall Tales contest is an exciting time to share a compelling story that you can share with the rest of the world. Now, I have two apologies to make today. I have an apology for not having the right background. I'm sorry. I tried so hard. I didn't succeed. I take responsibility. I'm sorry. Secondly, I don't like PowerPoints. I only use them when it is absolutely necessary. So I'm going to try to make sure that you remember everything I say based on the words I use and the lessons I'm going to pass across. So remember, we're sharing about compelling stories. How do we share compelling stories? Stories that draw people in. Now, the story I shared at the beginning was just the part of the story I shared, of course, in my recent contest, in the district contest that passed, where I became where I won the district contest for the third time. It wasn't a tall tales contest, but it was actually a part of my story, something that happened to me when I was a teenage boy. And to give you a little background, I had that experience, real life. Excuse me, it's very hot here. So when it happened, I was actually sent to the market by my mom, and I saw a series of beautiful girls. I saw up to maybe 5 girls in total. But when I wanted to share the story, I realized that I didn't have enough time to share about all of them. So I had to compress them. I had to simplify them. I had to magnify some of them. And I had to humanize them so that it would be easier for one to remember who they are and what they meant to me. Sharing compelling stories begins by sharing details. Sharing compelling stories begins by sharing details. It is the details that make the difference in any story. What kind of details you share will determine the kind of details your audience receives and remembers. The more the details, the more powerful the story. Or the more creative the details, the more powerful the story. It all begins and ends with details. If you forget everything I say about today, do not forget that stories are compelling because of the nature of their details. Now, the problem with details is a lot of times we don't know which details to share, or we don't have enough time to share all the details. So we have to pick which details work best. It is in the details that we pick that we are able to make the imagination of our audience come alive. So, what details are most important? It's the who, it's the what, it's the where, it's the how. It's the who, it's the what, it's the where, it's the how. The who speaks about the individuals involved. What characteristics can you give to an individual, to a character that would make that person memorable? And I spoke about a teenage girl, pink flowery top and bright blue jeans. Your imagination will do the rest. You've gotten a character that will be hard for you to forget. When I named the other ladies, they were distinctly different. They wore different clothes, had different looks. And even though I did not describe everything about them, the details were enough to separate them. So when you're describing characters, don't just say women, don't just say men, don't just say boys, don't just say girls. Say the woman with the black dress, the boy with the pink hat, the girl with the blue jeans, and the man with the rough face and a scar. It becomes easier to identify that person based on the detail that you brought through your words. That's the who. Then the what. What were they doing? What was the action? What was the atmosphere? What was the tension? What was the scenario? There is always a reason, there's always a a what behind every action. What was the person doing? What was I doing? When you bring out that what in any story, I was going to the market. I was going to the market to get supplies for my mother. And my mother said I should be quick. So that provides some tension. If I am not quick, I may get into trouble. And then what did I see? I saw a beautiful girl. And I saw another beautiful girl. Describing the what is powerful. Another aspect of the what also is the scenario in which you're in, which is talking about the where, the who, the what, the where. The where and the what have some relationships. The where talks about the scene, the time, the place, the event. It could be in the 90s. It could be in your state capital or the capital of your country. It could be in Britain. It could be in front of the Eiffel Tower. Whatever it is, whenever you talk about where something takes place, the time and the place, it brings alive to the mind what you are talking about. So people can place themselves in your context when they know the what, when they know the where of what you're talking about. So the who, the what, the where, the why. Why were you doing what you were doing? Why were you there? Why did I go to the market? Why did I observe all those beautiful women? What was motivating me? What was my passion? Why did I choose to do what I did at the end of the story? Describing a why also has a powerful effect on everything that you tell as a story. Now, you have to understand one thing about describing details. When we talk about the who, the what, the where, and the how, all of them come into play when you are describing certain things that you feel. You see, the who, the what, the where, the why, the how, it's all about feelings. Stories are all about emotions. Stories are all about emotions. Now, I said, if you forget anything, remember that you're talking about details. Who, what, where, how. But those details are trying to bring out emotions. Emotions. The stronger the emotions, the better the story. The stronger the emotions, the more memorable the story. The stronger the emotions, the more powerful the story. If you can evoke the right emotions, you can change and move a story in almost any direction. And what are the things that bring out our emotions? It is the things we see. It is the things we hear. It is the things we smell. It is the things we touch. It is the things we taste. So whatever you can see, hear, smell, touch, evokes a particular emotion. If I describe a very stinking smell, an unpleasant smell, you would most likely frown your face because you remember how horrible a smell was. If I described a sight that was beautiful, like a scenario, a beautiful lake with beautiful flowers by the side of the lake, you would have pleasant memories of things that you've seen before as far as the lake and flowers are concerned. If I described someone scratching my skin and making marks on it and even bringing out blood, you would have memories of something similar that happened to you maybe as a child or maybe even something recent. When I can describe what you see, what you can see, hear, touch, taste, I can evoke similar emotions in you. So remember, it's about the details. It's about emotions. It's about what you see, smell, taste, hear, feel. Whatever your senses engage in as far as storytelling is concerned, it always brings out the emotions that are necessary to bring the memory of people and to make them engage in your story better. Remember, you have your story in your head, but you need to bring that story into the head of your audience. You have it in your head, you have it in your heart, but you need to bring that same story into the heads and to the hearts of your audience. And you do that with details. You do that with the who, with the what, with the where, with the how, with the why. And you do that with emotions. And what are those emotions? They are expressed by showing what you can see, what you can hear, what you can smell, what you can touch, what you can taste. When you bring these things to the fore, it becomes easier for people to remember your story and also to engage your story, to participate in your story. There's something we call mirroring. In mirroring, what we do as individuals is that when someone is telling a story, we begin to see ourselves in that story. We begin to put ourselves in that same context. We begin to imagine we were really there. We begin to try to feel what the person felt. It's a beautiful aspect, or it's a beautiful power that human beings have. Whenever you tell your story, people are compelled to mirror you, but they can't mirror enough if you don't show them enough. So imagine yourself as a mirror. How much details can you share as a mirror? Imagine a mirror that restricts the details that can be shared and hides as much details as possible. That's not a very good mirror. But if you have the time and you have the space, the mirror that you can give to your audience is the details that they can use to see. So give it to them. Give as much details as possible within the context of the time that you have, the time and the space you have. You can provide enough details to make it work. Now, I'm going to share with you a mnemonic, and I might not be able to finish it because my time is almost up. Now, if I can't finish it, I'm going to give you a link where you can download my book for free, Moving and Memorable. It's a book I write to share how you can share memorable stories, compelling and memorable stories that touch the heart and also remain in the mind. Okay? It's called Moving and Memorable. But I'm going to share the mnemonic. The mnemonic is MEMORY, memory. I think I'll just do 3. You'll find the rest. I'll post the link so that you can get the rest. And then, of course, any questions you have. Oh, yes, and I forgot. I'll give you, okay, before I share the mnemonic, just in case I'm late, I'm going to share with you something you can do for your tall tale. Okay? Most people have a problem with sharing compelling stories with tall tales because they think that tall tales are supposed to be wild, imaginative stories that make no sense. But that is not true. Tall tales are not supposed to be wild, imaginative stories that make no sense. Tall tales are supposed to be wild, imaginative, fake stories, but they should make sense. They should have a message. They should bring you something to take home with at the end of the day. So, if you want to share a tall tale and you have a wild imagination, let your imagination go free, but make sure that you have a message at the end of the day. Make sure that the story makes sense. Make sure it's going in a particular direction that at least makes sense at the end of the day and has a message. It is possible to do that. Now, if you're one of those people like myself that has a challenge coming up with wild, imaginative stories, take any simple story that you have, anyone that you have, any event that you experienced, anything that you are used to every day. Share that story, but just exaggerate the details. So you are going to the market to buy some food for your house. Just exaggerate it a bit. You are going to the market to buy some food for the whole country. You are going to feed 10 million people. That is the exaggeration. You just use the exaggerations more. You bought a car that was beautiful. You bought a car that was so beautiful that even Bill Gates was envious of you. You just exaggerate that simple story, but still arrive at the message that you had at the end of the day. It's very possible. So I'll use that to round up. But I'll say this finally. If you want to create memorable stories, compelling stories, I'll use the mnemonic MEMORY. M-O-R-Y. Remember, you can download the rest. I have just 2 minutes left. M stands for mind. You should be able to affect the mind. Whatever touches the mind, your mind will most likely touch the mind of your audience. Make sure you are making sense. Don't talk arbitrarily. Make sure you are making sense. Make sure it's logical. Make sure it has a good conclusion. Whatever touches your mind will most likely touch the mind of your audience. E. E stands for, remember M-E. E stands for ethics and emotions. Ethics meaning don't cheat, don't lie, don't fake, don't say you are, don't share someone else's story and pass it off as your own. Don't say, this is my story when it's not your story. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Okay? Don't cheat. That's for ethics. Tell the truth. Be yourself. Your story is good enough. Don't copy someone else's story and lie that it's your story. No. That's ethics. Emotions. Emotions, I've talked about emotions. Try to evoke the emotions. Remember the emotions and bring out those emotions in your stories. M stands for method and message. That's the second M. The first M stands for mind. The E stands for ethics and emotions. The M stands for method and message. Method means there's a method that you follow. Message means there's a message behind your story. So I'll stop there because my time is up. And I'll take the time to answer the questions that we have available. But I want to tell you once again that you have the power to tell compelling and moving stories. If you can focus on the details, if you can focus on the emotions, and if you can share that mirror that people need to see to become or to have that story and that experience that they need. Thank you very much. I'll take the questions now. I think I can see one question already. So, okay, let me go back to the, should I continue or do you?
Okay, yeah, you can see, if you've seen a question, you can continue.
Il reste 12 secondes seulement.
Okay, thank you very much. So I can see one question from the distinguished Toastmaster Olu Joseph. How can one separate humorous speech from tall tale speech? Because I have seen and heard speakers missing or mixing the lines. Okay, thank you. This is a very, very good question. Most people equate tall tale speeches with humorous speeches because most of the time they are funny. If you exaggerate things a lot, you're definitely going to get people laugh. But the distinction is very simple. The tall tales contest is really just about telling exaggerated tales. They don't have to be funny. They may sound funny to you, but you don't have to be funny. In fact, I feel I have not competed in the humorous contest yet because I don't believe I'm a very funny speaker. Most people don't believe that, but I don't believe I'm a humorous speaker. I'm yet to compete in the humorous contest because I am not very good at bringing laughs in every minute and every single, every sentence, making you laugh in every minute and so on and so forth. I'm not very good at that. But I only did the tall tales because it's easy in the sense that all you have to do is just share an exaggerated tale with a straight face. Whether you are laughing, whether you're comical, whether you're a funny person, after you just share your words alone will be weighted and used in the contest to judge your abilities. So the tall tales contest is about exaggerations. The humorous contest is about making people laugh. The goal of the tall tales is to tell an exaggerated tale. The goal of the humorous tale is to make people laugh. Those are two separate goals and two separate kinds of speeches. So remember that when you're telling a tall tale. In case you think that you're not a funny person, I think the tall tales is the best for you because no matter who you are, no matter how funny or unfunny you are, your words are enough in a tall tale. But with the humorous tale, it may have to be your body, it may have to be the nature of the kind of jokes you tell. You may have to do much more to be able to make people laugh. So the goal of the tall tale is to tell an exaggerated story. The goal of the humorous tale is to make people laugh, whether or not it's an exaggerated story or not. A humorous tale, a humorous speech doesn't have to be a tall tale. A humorous speech can be a real event, but told in a funny way. A tall tale cannot be a real speech. It is a tall tale. It is a fake speech. So remember that there is a difference, and do not confuse the two, and encourage yourself. There are two different skills that you can use to develop yourself as much as possible. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, our trainer, for today. That was quite profound, telling a story to the heart and to the mind. We have a question in the chat box, and the question goes, finding a compelling story to tell is sometimes hard to find. Can you share some tips to put together a powerful story?
Okay, thank you. This is something people have a challenge with consistently. We think that a compelling story is compelling because of maybe its outlandishness, maybe somebody died, maybe something fantastic happened, you saved the world. A compelling story is compelling because of the way you tell the story, not because of the nature of the event. The most simple thing that happens in your life, you going into the kitchen to pick a meal and to eat or to take ice cream, can be told in a compelling manner. It's not about the nature of the story. It's about how you tell the story. I don't know how many of you have watched the story of Pres Vasilev, our 20, it's not 14. Oh my goodness. I can't remember the year he won. I think, is it 2011? He was the world champion of public speaking, Pres Vasilev, saved by a tire or changed by a tire. I think that's the title of his speech. It was a simple speech. It was one of the shortest world championship speeches where he described an experience he had with someone that helped him change a tire. Now, what is so fantastic about changing a tire? There's nothing compelling, in quote, about changing a tire. If somebody died, that sounds compelling. If someone had a catastrophic event, if someone almost died, that sounds, but changing a tire. But it's one of the most compelling stories I have ever listened to. Why? Because of how it was told. It is about how you tell the story. It's about the details you bring. It's about the humor you bring. It's about the who, the what, the where, the how. It's about the characters. It's about the emotions. It's about the things you felt and drawing people in. So focus on telling your stories better. Focus on telling your stories better, no matter how simple they are. Try to find how to improve on how you tell the story, not about what the story is, how you tell the story. This is very important. Now, another thing is that many people do not believe that they have compelling stories because they don't have the habit of documenting your stories. You need to have a habit of documenting your stories. Anyone that journals regularly, in other words, you have a way of writing down the things that happen to you every day and talk to yourself, either by writing or by talking into a device, you tend to have the ability to remember things a little bit more. But I want to encourage you, if something happens to you that moves you, if you had an experience that provokes you, that got you angry, that made you sad, if something happened, note it down. I had a 30-day storytelling challenge with some of my friends, Toastmasters and other people alike. And we were sharing stories with different themes. And people that thought they had no stories found out that they had many stories to share. In fact, more than enough stories to share. It's not that you don't have stories. It's that you don't believe in your stories. You think your stories are too ordinary. I have news for you. Your stories are not less important than the stories of Michael Jackson or George Washington or Michelle Obama. Your stories are important because you are important. Value your stories and learn how to share them in a more compelling way. And you'll be surprised how powerful those same simple stories will be. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly for that exhaustive and insightful session. Definitely, we are leaving here better than we came in, and we are motivated and inspired to tell our story. There's something you said that resonated with me. You said, your story is good enough. Do not belittle your story. Do not make another person's story your story. So I am motivated to own my story and to deliver my story in a compelling way. Thank you for this session. At this point, for lack of time and want of it, we are going to move swiftly and segue into the next segment of today's meeting, which is the toast. There is no after work session without a toast, and it is my pleasure to bring to the lectern one who's going to propose the toast for today's meeting, and that's none other than Toastmaster Idrissa. He is a Nigerian water communication manager. His hobbies are volunteer activities and reading. He's been a Toastmaster since September 2020. His responsibilities here in Toastmaster includes being the secretary of Dayon Ara and then being the president and the charter member of President Women Leader Toastmasters Club. His favorite quote is, "I never lose. Either I win or I learn," by Nelson Mandela. And his source of motivation is that knowing that my actions can help others people progress, knowing that his actions can help other people progress. At this point, I would love to relinquish the lectern to Toastmaster Idrissa.
Bonsoir tout le monde. Vous m'entendez? J'espère que vous me voyez aussi. Bonsoir, je ne vous entends pas.
Bonsoir, on vous entend parfaitement.
Bonsoir, on vous entend bien.
D'accord. Ah, ça me rassure. Et j'espère aussi que vous avez vos verres à côté. Alors, ce soir, je voudrais honorer des personnes extraordinaires de notre division 130. Une équipe d'hommes et de femmes qui, grâce à leur clairvoyance, pilotent de main de maître ce programme qui met en avant deux valeurs du Toastmasters, le service et l'excellence. Des personnes continuellement, des personnes qui régulièrement organisent des séances de formation afin de nous permettre de renforcer nos capacités et d'améliorer nos performances professionnelles et personnelles. Mais également, ces personnes nous permettent de renforcer nos liens entre nous tous. Et maintenant, je vous invite à lever vos verres et à célébrer ce fort engagement pour l'efflorescence des Toastmasters. À nos merveilleux organisateurs des AFTERWORK, à nos merveilleux organisateurs des séances AFTERWORK. Merci.
À nos
Santé.
merveilleux organisateurs d'Afterwork.
Merci.
Bravo.
Bravo. Merci beaucoup, Toastmaster Idrissa.
T'en prie, Grace. Merci à toi.
Thank you so much for that wonderfully delivered toast. Fellow Toastmasters on this call, how are you feeling at this moment? Was it worth your time? I would like to feel your inputs on the chat box. Was it worth your time? Definitely, you're going to make an appointment with us this time next week. So I just want to know, how do you feel? How was today's session? Kindly drop a comment on the chat box while we await our Zoom master to share the announcement for today. How was today's session? Explosive, DTM Olu Joseph. Insightful, Toastmaster Josephine Agolo. DTM Gaston, insightful training from Benjamin. Awesome stuff. These are the feedback that we need to keep pushing. Zoom Master, kindly share the announcement. Yeah, we have our announcements for today, and that includes the Pathway Labs. every Thursday at 8 p.m. we usually would have the Pathway Labs. And the next announcement is that of the party time, Division F. So from 7th to 12th, Division F owns that period. And please kindly ensure that you go follow Division F on all their social media platform, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. I don't know if you have anyone from Division F here. I'm from Division F, but kindly drop the handles on the chat box so that we could have people follow up their different social media handle. But before then, I'd love to give a moment to the division director of Division F to come let us in on more information about Division F. Toastmaster Unduke Usoro, I know you are on the call. I yield the lectern to you at this point. Toastmaster Unduke Usoro. So we are going to move on quickly. I have not seen her on the participant list. At this point, we are going to segue into the final segment of this meeting. And it is said, your net worth is your net worth. So you should be asking yourself, even in the Toastmasters community, how many people do I know? Who do I know? So this is an opportunity for you to network with fellow Toastmasters on this call. For you to network with fellow Toastmasters on this call. Different breakout room will be launched, and in that room, you have the opportunity of meeting different Toastmasters. And please feel free to engage. Do not hold yourself back. Turn on your camera. Ensure you meet somebody. Maybe you'll be sharing with us who you've met during the session. So Master, kindly launch the poll. They kindly launch the breakout room.
Oui, les salles de résultats sont déjà ouvertes. Elles sont au nombre de 10. Donc, selon les appétences des uns des autres, ils peuvent choisir la salle qui leur convient. On peut aussi les aider s'ils ont des difficultés à choisir la salle. On peut les aider à choisir aussi leur salle. Les salles sont ouvertes. Vous pouvez les rejoindre.
Feel free to join any of the breakout room, any networking room of your choice. Just click on it and assign yourself.
I see you as you leave. I feel it, I see it as you leave. When we kiss, I went deep, but you're far away. Pipante, Bobby Bancho, Phoebe Sile. Pipante, Bojobaro, Phoebe